Live from Metro Detroit and the Eyewitness News Center, Joe Glover, Robbie Timmons, Otis Buchanan, Barry ZeVan the Weatherman, Ray Lane, and Charlie Neal, sports, the award-winning TV2 Eyewitness News team.
Good evening. President Carter appearing on national television tonight. You saw it here on TV2, but there was not much of substance in the news conference. The president saying he could not discuss any specific efforts to release the hostages in Tehran because this is a delicate time, as he put it. Mr. Carter telling reporters he is in favor of an idea originated by UN Secretary General Kurt Waldheim.
We would support steps by the United Nations that would lead to the release of the hostages if the steps are consistent with our goals and our essential international principles. An appropriate commission with a carefully defined purpose would be a step toward resolution of this crisis.
But that statement does not answer statements today by Iranian President Bani Sadr. Bani Sadr is saying the Iranians would be willing to go along with a neutral observer plan if the United States will admit to crimes committed during the reign of the Shah of Iran. President Carter denies there were any crimes committed by America, and that seems to leave us where we were when the president went on the air tonight.
Earlier today and at tonight's press conference, President Carter lashed out at Senator Ted Kennedy's criticism of the administration's handling of the situation in Iran. Press Secretary Jody Powell characterized Kennedy's comments as obnoxious, cynical, and uncalled for. Kennedy says that progress toward freeing the hostages has only been since he and others started speaking out on the issue. He says the White House may be angry because the senator is stealing Carter's thunder with proposals to free the Americans. Kennedy says he will continue to speak out.
I'm going to continue to speak out in ways which I believe can be constructive and positive. And I will not permit debate to be stifled by the President's press secretary.
Now, the State Department implied today there would be no third country involved in taking custody of the hostages, one proposal suggested by Kennedy. Republican candidate Ronald Reagan in Detroit tonight for a fundraiser took some shots at President Carter's foreign policy, too, accusing Carter of being soft on the Soviets. But Reagan lumped the Carter and Kennedy foreign policy together.
Nothing has been done and the Soviet troops are still there. It's precisely because of this foreign policy bordering on appeasement that a student mob has been able to hold hostage for more than 100 days with impunity diplomats and Marines at an American embassy in Iran. And when viewing the Soviet Empire established in Eastern Europe in the first years of the Cold War, again, Senator Kennedy and Mr. Carter appear to be ideological and political twins.
Reagan blames the Carter foreign policy for much of the trouble the U.S. faces in the Persian Gulf area.
In this country, a lot of young men stayed in school longer than they would have. That was one way to avoid the draft. This time, if there is a draft, we may have ministers coming out of our ears. A spokesman for the Selective Service System saying in Washington today there will be no student deferments this time. The only way to guarantee exemption will be to register as a minister of religion. In Trenton today, some high school seniors set a pretty good example for those Americans who have begun to forget about the 50 hostages being held in the American embassy in Tehran. It's been 102 days since the Americans were captured, and today the Trenton Seniors walked out of their classes for 102 minutes to sing patriotic songs and show their support for the hostages. The youngsters saying they wanted to stimulate others their age to take an interest in what's happening. 3 cheers for the seniors at Trenton High. A rally of a very different kind in East Lansing today at Michigan State University. Anti-draft protesters gathering for the school's first demonstration against the revival of draft registration. The proceedings interrupted for a while by a smoke bomb. The anti-draft demonstrators blaming ROTC students for the interruption. And not far away, about a half a dozen Lansing area high school students marched to the Marine recruiting.
That uncompromising, enterprising, anything but tranquilizing. Right on, Maude.
Now, see Maude every weeknight, 11:30 on TV2.